But let's talk about the game last night, or game 2 nights ago, excuse me, first. Just recapping these games. Notre Dame, which I love, that's who I had. I put my money on Notre Dame to get it done, and they were able to close it off with a last-minute field goal. Look, going into this Final Four teams, my biggest takeaway was, look, it's a lot of heavy, strong defensive teams. The quarterback play was the most sus I've ever seen in quite some time. Like, nobody really stood out to me. And if I had to rate from top to bottom best quarterback play, and I say that lightly, I put Will Howard coming in being number 1, right? I said I think Drew Aller probably was playing at that time when I said this at number 2. Right up, 2, 3, 4 was very close because Riley Leonard I don't think has been exceptional, but what Riley Leonard hasn't done, which I believe these other 2 and Quinn and especially last night and Drew just kind of flopping underneath the pressure, where Riley is just kind of rising to it, not playing out of his mind, like throwing for 300 yards or 250 or anything. He's throwing picks and things like that, but when he's needed, the guy is just, I don't know, just takes it, puts his head down and gets it done, and able to obviously pull off a massive W against Penn State. But it felt very, I would say, underwhelming, these 4 games. I'm not complaining about the playoffs. That's not what I'm getting at here. But it does feel like the product of college football seems to be a little bit diluted, right? Like there is, and for good reason. I think it's spread itself out because of the transfer portal. There just isn't this true dominance. And although Ohio State had looked dominant up until this point, it was a good game up until that last play there.
Yeah, I think you really need to look at quarterback play and offensive line play. I think this year it's really been down. You can see in the quarterback play of or just what the quarterback draft is going to produce as quarterbacks. I think we've gotten spoiled for some, very, very good quarterbacks the past several years, and we've had some guys that have been absolutely killer. Stroud and a couple others that would light it up. I think quarterback plays down a little bit. I don't know if that's due to the transfer portal. These guys bouncing around everywhere and not staying in the same system. I can't put a pin on it. Sometimes it's just, a bad quarterback year. And I think this year is definitely not the greatest. And I think that's diluted some of the playoffs. I'm going to say this, though. Will Howard threw about 5 balls yesterday that should have been picked off. And I think that might be the way I'm going to bet versus this Notre Dame game. Because I think the Notre Dame secondary is going to pick those balls off.
Look, I like Notre Dame going into this game because there was a point when Riley Leonard went out against this Penn State team, and this show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS. And right now, when you use the code YouTube150 at betus.com, you get 150% back on your first deposit, then $125 on your next 2. And with the football playoffs, college football championships and playoffs happening, and then March Madness right around the corner, there is not a better time right now than to sign up for betus.com and use that code to maximize your return. Check it out, betus.com. Use the code YouTube150. Now back to the show. Backup came in and was exceptional. It was like 6 for 6 or 6 for 7 for like 60 yards or something like that. My reason for saying that is that, and even Marcus Freeman, when they asked him, he was like, look, we'll just go to the next guy. We'll just continue to do what we're doing, because Riley Leonard wasn't really doing anything that was setting them apart, right? They were winning the ball by winning the game by being able to run the ball, control the trenches, and just play great defense. Now, I will say, look, here's the other thing I do want to talk about, because people are having a good time with trolling the SEC. One being, I'm going to call him out here, Harrison. He doesn't watch the show anymore because he's a little baby too, but FSU guy, works for Double Slaw and those guys. He tweeted out, and again, everybody's loving the SEC went down. Great. Have fun with it. Fantastic. SEC's having a down year, no question about it. And the fact that you're having an absolute parade about it just shows that we've dominated you for quite some time. Now, what I want to get into is that, because somebody said, hey, where's the ACC at? And he goes, I'm not a weirdo. I don't just cheer for my conference. I'm trying to get out of my conference. No, but the fact that you're cheering for the downfall of a conference just shows that you're cheering for every other conference, which just puts you in the same category as the rest of us. Like, it's exhausting. For me personally, I love seeing just kind of a good matchup yesterday. I hate Ohio State on a different level outside of the Big Ten Penn State thing. Like, if it was Michigan last night, like I was going for Michigan last year. I loved Harbaugh. I think that was a great great story. And I'm all in on Notre Dame this year. Again, they're independent, which would make it even more fun. The team that's not in a conference gets it done. Now, obviously, this will provoke a conversation that they should be in one, right? Because they get a pass into the playoffs, not having to play not a pass. They played a great season. And again, here's my thing too, because people are like, well, who have they played? I saw the clip from Cam Newton, and you can make that argument, I believe, leading up to the playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, that has to go by the wayside because it's you're playing. That's everybody's at the top. They've made it to this point. You can't hit me with who have they played because they took down the SEC champion. That's who they played. They took down the Big Ten runner-up. That's who they played. So I don't care about what took them to. I mean, I would care, right? It should have been a conversation leading up to, but nobody questioned Notre Dame being in the playoffs because there were so many other things going on. So you can't bring that up of like who have they played, because when they were faced with adversity, they got it done.
Well, we can't even be mad. I know they're not. I know that especially the Penn State Notre Dame game wasn't fun to watch.
It heated up
listen,
at the end. Colin Cowherd says top 5 game of all time.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know.
But listen, guys, here's the thing: the two of the better offenses and quarterbacks, one got eliminated at the Pop-Tart Bowl. They couldn't win that, and the other one got absolutely dog walked by Ohio State and Oregon. So it's like you can't be mad that that these games are not as fun to watch as other games are, because the games have been played, and this is what college football has given us for a playoff.
I think these Final Four games were fine. Going back to like the last couple of years, they're 2 great games. Came down to the wire ultimately, and we'll talk about the Texas Ohio State game a little bit more individually here in just a minute. But Wolverine 62, great point. Notre Dame is a better version of Michigan, same style. I mean, that's a solid point. So here's where I disagree. Only thing I disagree on. I think that Michigan team last year, I think J.J. McCarthy was better suited. Hold on. I like Riley Leonard because of his grit. So I think his grit and his will to win is better than J.J., but J.J., in my opinion, was a better suitable quarterback, personally. Like, J.J. obviously went, number 10 to the Vikings, which I thought was a little bit high, but still had possessed better quarterback swagger than Riley. Riley is just like, he's like a Pavio in a sense of like, I'm just going to grind this thing out and get it done. He hasn't really sold me on being a good quarterback. Go ahead.
Yeah, JJ, the biggest thing about him and between him and JJ is JJ made every single throw he had to when he had to make them. And we haven't seen that.